Welcome to the Pub Sports Radio NFL closing time show for Sunday, December 13th. Connor, Mac, again, Cameron. We should have Skee Profit momentarily as well. He's having the same probably issues I had yesterday, which caused the college football show to start a little bit late. Restarting at the wrong time, updating the computer, always when you do a show. Never fails. But we're here. We're ready to break down the card for Week 14 in the NFL. I've only got 4 weeks left in the regular season. So we're getting down to the end of this NFL season. Interesting card today, and all I got to say is there better be some damn points scored today, because I think I've got some kind of bet over the total on at least half the games today on this NFL slate.
Me too.
Yeah.
And last week I was on a ton of unders, like 5 unders, and they all came through. But I got leaning over a lot today.
I know. This better not be 10-7 Fiesta today or 21-17 or some shit like that today.
Yeah.
I don't want to be seeing that too much. But welcome everybody in the chat. Mike Campbell. Yeah, nice day in hoops for Connor yesterday. Actually, college basketball for me as well. So yeah, on college basketball, I'm glad we're both doing well, because Connor and I, yours truly, the two of us, college basketball closing time, season premiere Tuesday. Coming up 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific. We'll be doing the show twice this week, Tuesday and Wednesday. And once January rolls around, it'll be 3 days a week, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, once we get into the full brunt of conference season in January. So, we'll be looking forward to that college basketball show for sure. All right, let's get to it. Let's start with top of the rotation, as always. Actually, we're going to start top of the rotation, but with the early games. So we'll skip Green Bay, Detroit, because it's a late game, 4 o'clock Eastern. We'll come back to it later. Yeah. We'll start with Tennessee, Jacksonville. We've got the Titans, 7.5-point road favorites in this game, 52.5, 53 the total in this one. Wow. I mean, when you look at this Tennessee team from an injury standpoint on defense, it's starting to get a little worrisome. You look at some of the injuries. Skee Profit, who's going to be along with us soon, he's talked about where's Adoree Jackson. We've been waiting for him at cornerback to return from injury. He finally practiced early in the week, but still not good enough to go, apparently, not playing. And now, to make matters worse, the guy that replaced Adoree Jackson in the secondary for the Titans, Breon Borders, he injured himself last week against the Browns, and he's out for this game. So you've got Jackson out on the one cornerback spot, and now the guy that replaced him is out. And Kenny Vaccaro, no relation to Jimmy, the legendary odds maker in Las Vegas. Kenny Vaccaro, the safety for the Titans, is also out for this game. So you got cluster injuries in the secondary. Question is, can Mike Glennon take advantage of it? I think he can, because the Titans don't have much of a pass rush, and Glennon can be effective when he's not under pressure. And the secondary is just, I don't think, very capable of covering receivers down the field. They certainly showed you that last week against the Cleveland Browns. So I worry about the Titans defense, and I certainly worry about the Jaguars defense, because they're right there with Houston, some of those Dallas, some of those teams in terms of the worst run defenses in the NFL. And hello, Derrick Henry coming to town. He should have a monster day. Of course, anytime the Titans can run the football with success, it just opens things up for Ryan Tannehill, makes him even more dynamic and dangerous. Play action opens up to Brown, to Corey Davis, to all those great receivers. So you kind of know where I'm going in this game. The over is definitely in play. And how can I argue with 18-3-1 to the over for the Tennessee Titans? That's right, 18-3-1 to the over for Tennessee since Ryan Tannehill took over as the quarterback midway through last season. That's some kind of run in terms of totals run. So I'm going to go over the total. And I also have the Titans in some teasers. I do still think, even with the injuries on defense, they win the game, but I like them in a teaser only. I don't really love laying the 7.5. I'd rather tease them down to -1. Connor, what do you think here? Titans, Jags.
This is one of our first ones we'll get on that you and me like. I like the over, especially the way the Titans have been playing. And the Jags have been scoring. You know what I mean? They've been hanging around. Whoever's the quarterback, Glennon's played well. I think they can get over this total. The last one this was my last game. I've still been thinking about it a lot. I like your tee. If you're doing a teaser, I like that. Teasing the Titans down. I want to take the Jags here. I took them last week. I think they can hang in this game. So this will be my last bet that I'm wavering on. I'm set to go. So this is my last my last one thinking that we got here in the next 45 minutes. But I like the points of the Jags, and I'm on the over here. I think we see points. I think Derrick Henry, Titans get theirs, and I think the Jags can hang around and get over the total.
What can you say about that? 18-3-1 to the over for Tennessee. Tannehill took over as the starting. It's just been an over a bonanza for the Titans since Mariota got benched last year. Dallas, Cincinnati. Wow, Dallas -3 on the road, 44 the total. And I don't want any part of either side in this game. You want to lay 3.5 on the road with this defense? I mean, with what we saw against Baltimore, with running backs that are basically running down the field 15 yards before anyone lays a finger on them. Receivers running wide open all over the place. But on the flip side, Cincinnati, not exactly a team I fully trust either. But I guess push comes to shove. If I had to pick a side, it would be Cincinnati. I did bet small. I don't like this as much as, say, the last game. But I did bet small over the total here, 43.5. You're talking about the 29th and 30th ranked defenses in the NFL here, the Cowboys and the Bengals. And I know it's Andy Dalton, and I know it's Brandon Allen. Two quarterbacks you don't necessarily trust, two offensive lines that are certainly compromised due to clustering going into this game. But you're talking about really piss poor, bottom tier defenses and a total in the low 40s. I'll take my chances. Don't love it, but I'll take my chances with a small bet over the total. What do you think, Connor? Cowboys, Bengals?
I agree with you here. I like Cincinnati too. Give me the 3, and I lean towards the over. There's no way Dallas with that defense laying points, even in Cincinnati, it's crazy. God, they were bad. I had them the 9 points. I like the over in that Ravens game, but 3 missed field goals. They can't get it in. I think they move the ball, and I like your over here as well. I like it both. I like Cincy, and I definitely towards the over here. It's very low at 43.5, 44. Yeah,
that's exactly what I saw. Like, if this total's in the high 40s or 50s, like some of these other games, I have no interest in it. We're talking just to get to a 24-20 or a 24-21 type of game.
Yeah.
I think it can still be done with these two teams, even with the quarterback concerns, even with the offensive lines banged up on both sides. I still think there's a potential to get at least a 45 here in this game. And everyone's talking to Andy Dalton revenge game. Stop with that nonsense and noise, please. The revenge game for a team that stinks. I mean, everyone's going to just get fired up because Andy Dalton's playing his former team. I don't think so. So I think that's being a little bit blown out of proportion. All right, Arizona, New York Giants. Really interesting game here. Arizona 3 on the road, 47 the total. This is one total move up I'm not so sure about. And I'm definitely heavily slanted toward being an over better when it comes to totals. But this one, I'm not so sure. Arizona's offense, the O-line's not been good lately. And now they're facing a defensive front for the Giants. It's coming on like a freight train. Just ask Russell Wilson last week, who was on his keister, multiple times throughout that Seahawks loss to the New York Giants. This Giants defense is playing their best football. Arizona's offensive line's not been as good lately. I don't think Kyler Murray is 100% either. That's an issue. Now, they are going to be benefiting from the return of Larry Fitzgerald. And I know it's the tail end of his career now at this point, but from a leadership standpoint, it can't hurt. They've got some other injuries that are concerning as well. Jonathan Joseph in the secondary out. Jalen Thompson in the secondary are out. The good news is Isaiah Simmons, Clemson. I talked about how good a draft pick that was for Arizona. He was back at practice on Friday, on track to play here in this game. That's significant for Arizona's defense here. Daniel Jones being back at quarterback has to help the Giants because that's the thing, Connor, that impressed me so much about that game last week with the Giants winning. Colt McCoy did nothing. All right, he was awful. Mm-hmm. He was absolutely brutal in the game, and somehow they go up to Seattle and they win that football game outright as double-digit underdogs with Colt McCoy having to do nothing, and they still won the game. All their defense and how impressive it was. So I actually lean under this total, but you know me with unders. I don't do well with them, and I don't like betting them a whole lot. But I would lean under the total here in this game. From a side perspective, at 3 Giants here, I do. I'm going to have to see what Arizona does here in terms of trying to turn the ship around. We know it has not been easy for them. It looks like we have Skee with just about to join us. But Connor, what's your take here? Arizona and the Giants.
I like the Giants here. Give me the 3 points at home. Arizona, other than last week, they scored. They've been having a hard time scoring. Kyler Murray's been banged up. They're just not the same football team. I think they were a little bit of a fraud, first part of the year. The Giants defense is playing well. This is my best game. I like the under. We all talked about how I love so many overs this week, but I like this under, and I like the Giants. It's 47 now, and I like the 3 points. I think the Giants might win at home. So yeah, I love it. The under and the Giants +3.
Yeah, I worry because I remember Arizona, New England. And again, it was Arizona on the road in the Eastern time zone, early kickoff against a defense comparable to the way the Giants are playing right now. And Arizona's offense struggled, against that New England team. And I worry that could happen here against the Giants. Again, their defense is peaking at the right time. We got Skee Profit, who's now sharing my pain. I had the computer updating right as the college football show was starting yesterday. So he knows he knows the pain and the agony and the frustration of having to deal with that. But Skee's with us now. How are you?
I'm doing well. I was close to using my phone. That's how bad it was. But I was listening to you guys. I guess I can jump in on some of the games. But this Cardinals and Giants game, earlier in the week, I looked at it and I said, I'm looking at my numbers. It says take the Cardinals. But they look so bad lately. They lost their last 3 games. They lost 4 of their last 5. And the Giants been playing really well. The defensive line looks strong. And if they can continue to rush 4 people and get after Kyler Murray, I think they have a good chance to win this game. Danny Dimes, I'm not sure if I saw that he was in or out. Maybe
supposed to be. Yeah, he is. He's warming up. Supposed to be in today.
Okay. So, you have Danny Dimes back, and Gamen's been looking pretty strong running the ball. So, I lean towards the Giants if you can get points. They've been good as a dog, and I think they have a shot to win. I think this game is probably the most important game on the slate today because whoever loses has a much bigger chance of missing the playoffs, and whoever wins, same for the making the playoffs.
Yeah, Billy in the chat makes a good point. Wayne Gallman lately. Yeah, props. If you're looking at player props, Wayne Gallman's not a bad way to go because he has been a focal point running the football lately of the Giants offense. Before we get to the next game, we'll get Skee's takes on the first 2 that we talked about, Tennessee, Jacksonville, Dallas, Cincinnati. I mentioned this about the Tennessee game. Their secondary, Skee's been asking the question, where's Adoree Jackson every week? He's still not good to go. And now the guy taking his spot at Breon Borders, he's also out for this game for the Tennessee Titans in their secondary. Kenny Vaccaro, safety, out for this game. This secondary is just in tatters when it comes to injuries right now. That's a concern. We mentioned liking the over in this game. Titans 18-3-1 to the over since Tannehill took over last year at quarterback. 18-3-1. That is a remarkable totals trend for one team over that period of time. You're not supposed to go 18-3-1 to the over 22 games. You're supposed to have an adjustment at some point, and we just haven't seen it with Tennessee. And as for Dallas, Cincy, we lean Cincy, and I have a small bet over the total. What do you think of those 2 games, Skee? Tennessee, Jacksonville, Dallas, Cincy.
Yeah, Tennessee, Jacksonville. Tennessee, yeah, you can say since Tannehill's been there. It's been Tannehill. He's a much better quarterback than what they had in Mariota. Mariota couldn't even feel his hand half the time. But the defense is just as bad. So they're giving it up, and they're scoring points. And I think that's what we see here today. I don't trust the Jaguars defense at all. I think the Titans can run all over them. I think they can pass on them when they want. They probably named their number today. But at the same time, when you don't have a defense, I don't want to lay a touchdown with you. So
yeah,
I backed the over. I did bet it earlier in the week. I'm not sure what it's at now, but I bet 52 or 51.5, something like that. And I'm leaning towards the Jaguars. I don't want to lay with the Titans. And the next game, I like the Cowboys. I don't trust. Both teams' defense are bad, but the Cowboys have Zeke, so I'll take them to run on the Bengals, and that'll be my reasoning for backing them.
Yeah, Dallas and Cincinnati. You're taking the lesser of 2, whichever side you like. It's the lesser of 2 evils in your own opinion. That's essentially what you're looking at there.
Yeah.
Yep. I don't want to really lay with either team, honestly, but for me, it's just no Burrow, no Bengals.
Yeah, no Burrow, no Bengals, no bet. At least not on. Yeah, exactly. Denver, Carolina -4, 46 the total here. Oh, sorry, I skipped Houston, Chicago. Houston, Chicago comes after the Arizona game. Houston -1, total 46 in this game. Boy, this Bears team, what a frustration, exercise in frustration. Because the offense with Mitch Trubisky, it hasn't been great, since he's taken over, but at least it's had some signs of life. They've run the football a little, but they got Montgomery back. They've been running. He's at least completed some passes, moved the team a little bit. And now the Bears defense decides we're going to just fall off a cliff now and not play that well. This Bears defense has issues. They struggled against Green Bay. What happened to them last week is the Detroit Lions, Matt Stafford throwing the ball all over the field against them. That's a big-time worry for me in this game. Going up against Deshaun Watson, who's even proven with all the receivers that he's missing, with David Johnson now out, with no running game, and all he does is keep finding other weapons, find Cooks, find Kiki QT, some other guys to step up. To me, from a side perspective, both of these teams had lost a terrible, brutal loss last week. Chicago fumbling away literally a 10-point lead in the last 2 minutes and losing to Detroit. Houston literally fumbling on the goal line against the Colts. And losing that game when it looked like they were going to beat Indy. So I trust Houston a little bit more to step up because I think Chicago's got, a lot of rumors about Matt Nagy's, job security, him being on the hot seat. I'd take a small play on Houston here. And I also like the over here, which is crazy to say that, earlier this season, Chicago betting over 46 with this team. Now you can, I think, because the defense has problems, big problems right now. They have not shut down anybody. The last couple of weeks, that defense is regressing, getting worse. And Houston's found ways to move the ball against anybody. And Chicago's offense, for much problems as they've had, Houston's defense will probably allow them to have their share of success today. We're talking about a not very good Texans defense at all, either stopping the run or in their secondary. So I do lean Houston, and I do lean over the total here. Skee, what do you like with Texans-Bears?
It's only I hear you with I love Deshaun Watson. I think he's a great quarterback, top quarterback. But it's only been 1 week without Fuller. And they lit up the scoreboard in the first half, but I don't think they scored in the second half. So I don't know if that was an adjustment that the Colts made but I know the Bears were sitting at home watching that offense, or not sitting at home, but I know the Bears are watching that offense on film, and they should try to replicate the same thing. I don't think the Bears are. Well, I don't know if they're as good as the Colts on defense. I'm not sold on the Colts defense yet, but they have looked good in some spots. But the Bears, I think they can get after Watson, and I think we see more of the second half Texans in this game. I kind of lean more towards an under.
All right, leaning towards the under, and that's if it's Chicago's bad offense that we've seen all season, and they have the defense that started out the season is the reason why they won games, to be honest with you. Yet it's flipped the last couple of weeks. The offense has started going and the defense has fallen apart. Which Chicago is it going to be? That's probably going to determine what happens with this total in this game. Connor, what's your thoughts? Texans, Bears.
I like both your guys' points, but, a little bit towards the over, how they're playing, and Skee, the under. The Bears have just me and the Bears not getting along this year. Shit. I took the Lions last week, which was good. But I took this one and just exit off. Like Ian made a good point. I think it'd go over. When I saw the line was 1 Houston, it kind of just was, I don't see any value either side. So this was an easy pass for me right away. This is one of the games on the card I just checked off.
Yeah, no problem with that. Definitely, especially this time of year, later in the season, it's no problem whatsoever to pass if you don't have a strong opinion. Denver, Carolina -4, 46 the total. I laid it with Carolina here, even without McCaffrey. Mike Davis has been a solid. I just don't like this spot for Denver or this situation whatsoever for the Broncos coming into this game. They battled their guts out last week against the Chiefs at Arrowhead, had a chance to pull off the upset and fell just short. And I give the defense credit. They were really good last week against Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, but Drew Lock keeps screwing up. I don't know how else and how more bluntly I can say it, than that. He keeps screwing up every week, making bad decisions, inaccurate with the football. That's definitely concerns that I have with this team going into this game, is that even if the defense hangs in there against Teddy Bridgewater and the Panthers, at some point Drew Lock's got to show you he can avoid mistakes, and finish drives, and settling for field goals has been an issue as well for the Broncos offense. And, with them now on the road for a second straight week, they battled their ass off against the Chiefs. Now you're going on the road again to Carolina, losing season, non-conference game now, playing an NFC team. Carolina, and I'll tell you, these late season bye weeks, when a team has a bye week in December, those are more meaningful bye week situations than, say, in September and October. Teams are battling injuries. Teams are banged up, physically wearing down a little bit. And then when you get that late season bye week in December, that matters. And for Carolina, they should be a pretty fresh team here. I know they're 4-8, and they weren't playing good before the bye on a big losing streak, but I think this is their spot to wake up, get back on track against a Denver team I just flat out don't trust. And as Robert's saying in the chat too, cornerback injuries galore for the Broncos as well going into this game. And now I think A.J. Boye, one of the latest ones, and he's just been incredible. Obviously, count on him in that Broncos secondary. So I laid the 4 here with the Carolina Panthers. Skee, anything for you in this for Carolina?
I'm not really too high on the side, but I agree with your take on, what are you going to get from Drew Lock? But, when he plays bad defenses, he looks okay. It's when he plays these better defenses, he's not going to perform. And are the Panthers a good defense? In my opinion, no, they're not. So I would trust the Broncos to score some points in this game. And their defense, they looked okay last week in the division game versus the Chiefs, where the Chiefs didn't really care. They look terrible in a lot of spots I've seen this year. So I trust the Panthers to score. I don't think it's mattered whether they've had McCaffrey or not. The one thing I will say is they play a little bit slower, I think, without him. So I still like the over in this game. I don't trust either defense, so I'll go with points in this game.
All right, leaning over the total here with Denver and Carolina. You're right about the pace, and that surprises me because Joe Brady is their offensive coordinator who coordinated the Joe Burrow LSU offense in college last year, and they were a fast-paced offense, and yet he's slowed it right down here now that he's coordinating an NFL offense. So interesting to see the difference there. Connor, are you involved in this one with Broncos and Panthers?
No, I'd lean a little bit with the over. And yeah, thanks to let me know Brandon Cooks is out and he was on my fantasy team. I'm probably going to lose anyways, but thanks guys for letting me know that. And another losing year. Anyways, I like the Broncos here with the 4. I think I'd rather take 4. I think it's Drew Lock, like Skee was saying. I think they can move it against a bad defense, and I think Carolina is not very good. So, yeah, I lean a little bit on the over, and I think it's a boring game. The Broncos looked decent last week, but like you were saying, Chiefs, I don't know how into that game they were until they had to get going, and a lot of penalties kind of saved that.
Yep.
Save that game from maybe getting out a touchdown. How about the touchdown that no one looked, hit his helmet, and he had it, Hill, nobody up in the booth. Yep. Crazy play. But Denver still moved the ball and looked well, but they can't get in the end zone. They're a field goal team. They're kind of like the Falcons. So that's what we'll talk about the Falcons later with the Chargers is if they can get in the end zone, I really would like the over, but they just have a hard time doing it. That's what's keeping me off the over in this game.
All right, definitely. I can see what you're saying there. Minnesota, Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay now 7 full touchdown home favorites, 52.5 the total. Certainly from a spot perspective, you couldn't ask for a better setup for Tampa Bay. They didn't play their best football going into the bye week, and now they're coming out of the bye week and looking to get back on track. Extra time to prepare, work out the kinks. We know Tom Brady's had an up and down season, and now you've got the chance finally through the bye week to get Brown and Godwin and all these great all these great receivers on the same page here going into this game against the Minnesota Vikings. Big question, of course, for the Bucs would be Mike Evans. Would he be available for this game? Looks like he will be. So good news, cleared to play with that hamstring injury. So he's back here for the Bucs. So it's all hands on deck. They're going to have all their weapons. They're going to have the extra bye week. And one element here to this game you don't want to underestimate. The older quarterbacks, we know them, Brady, Rivers, Ben Roethlisberger, Breeze, all of these guys, when they get the bye week, those old arms, and they get to rest those old arms of theirs, look out. Sometimes that's when you get their best games from Brady and Breeze and Ben, when they've had lots of time off. You're not playing. And when contrast that to the fact that these same older quarterbacks, when they're playing on a short week, that's when they struggle. They just the arm's not live when you got to play 2 games in 5 days or whatever the case may be. So I think the bye week is huge for Brady now. He's going to have pop in those throws today. It wouldn't surprise me to see some of the vintage Tom Brady throws in this game. Zip on the passes, crisp, sharp, bang, right to the receiver, right down the field. Yeah. Might even try his deep ball might even look a little bit better because of the bye week. So the bottom line is, I think you know where I'm going. I think he's going to torch Minnesota's secondary is brutal. They've lacked a pass rush this year. On the flip side, though, they could probably contribute a little bit points-wise in this game as well with Dalvin Cook healthy. With a balanced offense that can run and throw, that's when Minnesota's effective, and it obviously helps Kirk Cousins when he's got Cook back there to run the football. And I'm going to be one of those people that are believing that Tampa Bay's defense is a little overrated. Was anybody impressed with the Bucs defense the last couple games before the bye week? I wasn't. The Rams shredded them. The Chiefs shredded them. Good offenses. I understand that. But Minnesota's got the balance, I think, where they're going to have their own success offensively here as well. So this is another one. I told you it would be an overpalooza for me today. This is another one of those games I bet up and over the total here. Bucs and Vikings. I've got the Vikings +7, but I've got the Bucs in a teaser as well. So I've done something a little bit different with that. I think Tampa Bay wins, but I think it still could be close. So I've got Bucs in a teaser, Vikings +7 as well. Skee, what's your thoughts here? Tampa Bay, Minnesota.
You made a lot of good points. And the first thing I want to say is my numbers that I usually look at say take the Vikings, but I look at the Vikings, they're really hurt on defense.
Yes, they are.
They're not going to put any pressure on Tom Brady. And if you give Tom Brady time to throw, he's going to shred you. And you're getting him off of a bye. So I think Bucs can name their number as far as how many points they score. But I agree with you that the Bucs defense is not that good. I will give them credit for being good against the run. And so I don't think Dalvin Cook goes crazy today, but they can be had over the top. And Kirk Cousins against not so great defenses, he's been okay. So I think the Vikings, like you said, can contribute a little bit. I'm happy to hear that you said it's an overpalooza because that's the same thing for me today. And
it makes 3 of us.
I'm on the over in this game, so let's do it.
I agree. I mean, I think this is good. Like I want Brady with extra time to prepare, bye week, rested. That's good Tom Brady usually against a defense that's bad, that doesn't get pressure, check and check. That's why I think the Bucs offense works. Rest for Brady, no pass rush on the opposing defense. Put those two factors together. Those are the games where Brady and the Bucs offense has success. That's when it works. It's when the opposing team can get pressure, does have a good defensive line, like the Rams, like the Bears, like the Saints, like all the teams that have beaten Brady this year. That's when they have their struggles, but I don't think that will be today. Justin Jefferson. Adam Thielen's got a tough matchup a little bit today, and because the best cornerback is going to be on him. But Justin Jefferson, to me, could absolutely have a field day in the receiving game. And, of course, he's had a terrific rookie season at LSU for this Vikings team. Connor, what's your thoughts here? Tampa, Minnesota.
You guys nailed it. If I was doing a teaser, I'd tease Tampa down. I think Brady comes out, plays well. I think they win big here. And I'm with you guys. Like I said, I really only loved one under. And I like a few of the later on, a couple of the later games. But this was an over for me, too. I think the Vikings get theirs. Like Skee was saying, Tampa's defense, they're okay against the run, but they're not very good. Everyone was preaching about them 6 weeks ago when they had a great record. This defense is great. This defense is great. I don't think so. But Brady off the bye. But I'd be hesitant laying if you got maybe a 6.5. But I don't want it at 7, so I'd pass on the side. If anything, I'd take the Vikes.
All right, on we go. Kansas City, Miami. Very good game at 1 o'clock Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. Kansas City, 7-point favorites, 51.5 the total. Oh, one last thing I wanted to mention, Vikings. The Eric Kendricks injury is the big one at linebacker. He's a great player because he not only can jump up and stop the run, but he diagnoses the play really well, reads the quarterback real well, can play in pass coverage as well. Drop back. He's had a bunch of turnovers and interceptions this year at the linebacker spot for the Vikings. He's one of the leaders on the defense as well. He's out. for the Vikings, and that is a problem, I think, for them today against Tampa. As far as Kansas City, Miami goes, look, I really love the spot on Miami getting 7.5 early in the week, but I got to admit, I'm a little bothered by all the running back injuries. Like, I'm looking now at their top 3 running backs being out. We're going to be trusting Miami to run the football here with DeAndre Washington, Patrick Laird, Lynn Bowden, Lynn Bowden, who was the quarterback in Kentucky. And they're going to use him as the running back depth chart. Elijah McGuire out of UL Lafayette, of course, as well as there. But, I mean, they're going real deep into their running back depth chart today, the Miami Dolphins. And they need a run game to, I think, have some production because, Tua has had some good moments. He's had some not so good moments. But I think a run game will help him out quite a bit. We'll see if they're able to produce one with all the injuries back there. Tua hasn't thrown an interception yet, but that's what I like about what I've seen from Tagovailoa so far is that he's protected the football. And if he can do that, I think he gives Miami a chance to at least hang around in this game. You can't love the spot for Kansas City as well. Divisional game with Denver last week, New Orleans next Sunday. And people are going to hype that up. Super Bowl preview. It's going to be very difficult. We're all human beings. We all have, emotions and feelings. It's difficult to not look toward next week if you're the Chiefs and say, wow, we got the Saints coming up. We might be playing them in the Super Bowl. So not the greatest of spots to lay 7 with them. They're 0-4 against the spread their last 4 games, Kansas City. They've been overvalued. The point spread's finally caught up to them. All 4 of those wins for Kansas City have been by 6 points or less. I think it's another tight game. Kansas City might pull it out and win. But I think it's close. And I don't love it as much with the running back injuries, but I still think from a spot perspective, good enough to pull the trigger here with Miami plus the point. Skee, what do you like here, Chiefs Dolphins?
Yeah, you made that great point about the running backs. And for that reason, I mean, it's a great spot for the Dolphins. Granted, I said the Chiefs didn't really care last week. I don't think they really care either this week. But the way that you attack the Chiefs is on the ground. And if you don't have running backs, I'm not buying you to stay in the game.
Yeah.
So I don't trust Tua to put up points offensively. And I think the Chiefs' pass defense is solid compared to the run defense. So I trust the Chiefs to put up points versus whoever. And if the Chiefs get a lead in this game, I don't see them being too crazy where they keep the pedal on the metal. They're more than happy running the ball and running the clock out. It's just if you think the Dolphins can't keep up. Personally, I don't think so without running backs. So I would probably lean towards the Chiefs. But I like this game to go under. Like I said, I don't think the Dolphins score too many points, and the Chiefs will be happy just running the clock out if they have a lead. Mute, Ian.
There we go. I'm back. I think people have underestimated how much better Brian Flores has made this Miami defense. I think they played really, really good. They've gotten better throughout the year. And Denver, kept Kansas City under wraps last week. So going on the road here against Miami, I think and the Dolphins defense probably knows, hey, we got to show up today against this high-powered offense. And it's a huge game for Miami. They're trying to hang on to a wild card spot. They're still trying to catch the Bills for first in the AFC East, although that's going to be tricky to do that, but they still could. Things break right for them. So it's a big game for Miami. I'm still willing to chance it with them plus the points here in this game. Connor, what do you think here? Kansas City, Miami.
Yeah, this one, Skee was kind of nailing it with, Miami can't run it and Kansas City's a good pass. This whole game, Kansas City hasn't covered in 4 weeks after that unreal start to Mahomes' career, really, especially the last 2 years. I just don't love the spot. I'd take Miami, but I don't trust Tua. I don't think I've seen enough out of him. The thumb thing, no running backs. I could see the under. I'd lean towards the under. And the more I looked at this game, right away, I was like, I'll take the Dolphins here. And that's still the side I would lean. But I just don't like it, so I passed. But I might get on the under. I'm still thinking about it. So I like that a little bit.
I want to say one more thing. I heard Connor talk about fantasy. I play fantasy too. And in this game, I took Devontae Parker out of my lineup. And I took the Dolphins defense out. So That tells you what I think of Tua.
Yeah.
And what I think of what's going to happen in this game.
Yeah, there you go.
Waiting to happen. Yet the money is pouring in on the over leading up to kickoff here, and I think it's because people see the running backs out. They're going to throw the football. I think that's what people are seeing. But you got to be able to throw the football effectively, you know, and we're going to have to see if Tua can do that, which I think that's where the question mark is in terms of how solid can he be. And look, Tyrann Mathieu and Breeland and some of these guys in this Chiefs, they do have their secondary is the better part of that defense. So we'll see if Tua is able to navigate it. All right, the rest of the games here are all late games, so we'll start with 4:05 p.m. Eastern. Indianapolis, Las Vegas. Indianapolis 2.5-point road favorites. 51.5 the total. I'd certainly lean Colts, but it's going to be another one of the over-palooza games for me, this one. Colts and Raiders. Again, I've said all along Colts defense is not what it's cracked up to be early in the year, and they've looked like it, you know, the last few weeks. And the Raiders offense, I think, can do enough damage. I still like what I'm seeing from Carr, Waller, Aguilar, Renfro, even Henry Ruggs, who had the big game-winning touchdown. Maybe that gets Henry Ruggs' season going, the rookie out of Alabama, because he's sort of underwhelmed so far for the Raiders. On the flip side, though, Raiders defense, I don't love them by any stretch of the imagination. And Phillip Rivers, team won't pass rush. He's effective, like Brady. He's like a Brady-type handicap. When the team can't get a pass rush, he's good. When he's got his offensive line intact, and that Anthony Costanzo, I hammered people over the head about this guy last week being out. He might be back at left tackle in this game for the Colts, so that would be significant to protect Phillip Rivers, who's a statue back there, protect his blind spot. Indoors, sometimes that's some of the best games Phillip Rivers has is when he plays in indoor controlled climate environments. So sets up to me to have plenty of points here in this game, and that's where I'm going. Skee, what do you think here? Indy, Las Vegas.
We're in agreement again, and I talked about the last game going under and taking out Devontae Parker. This game, I replaced him. I put T.Y. Hilton in. I think the Raiders' defense is terrible, to say the least. They've allowed, I mean, the Colts, I think, can have them through the air or on the ground. They allowed 439 rushing yards the last 3 weeks. I think they're missing a safety in a corner. Maybe even some other people were questionable. I'm not sure if they're playing or not. But even if they play, I don't trust the Raiders to stop anybody on defense. So I like the Colts. I like the Colts to win the game. I like them by the spread. But I also like points to be scored in this game. Colts on the road, their last 3, they've allowed, 26, 34, 41. So they're winning these games, but they're high-scoring affairs.
Yeah, they're a mangled secondary coming into this game. Isaiah Johnson, Damon Arnett at cornerback, Jeff Heath, the veteran safety, used to play with the Cowboys. They've been ruled out for this game. So it is a war of attrition in the secondary for the Las Vegas Raiders. Connor, what do you think here? Indy, Las Vegas.
I'm with you guys. I got to take the over. I think the weather's nice here. I mean, especially it's just football weather, you know, low 60s, high 50s. I think points are scored. And, yeah, I had to take out Cooks there, so I just had to throw in Ruggs. And that was basically my only choice. There's no one in my fantasy. So hopefully he gets a few touchdowns. And now that it's 2.5, I go with the Colts.
Yep.
I mean, the Raiders are – I like the Raiders a little bit at 3, but I don't like the spot. And I'm not a big Colts fan. As you guys see, I got lucky last week with the fumble there at the end of the game, which every once in a while, a little luck is good, man, because I feel like you get shit on as a better too much, you know? So when something like that happens, it's good. So I'm just on the over and to the side a little bit the Colts, but I'm passing on the side, just the over.
Yeah, I've been hesitant to endorse the Colts, but this is the closest I've been to betting on them, I should say. I would only look toward Indianapolis here. We've got New York Jets, Seattle 16-point home favorites. Huge number here, 48.5, 49 the total. But since 2014, 60% against the spread. That's your record for double-digit favorites. So don't say you can't lay double digits in the NFL these days. You can, and that's exactly what I've done here. In fact, I think I didn't even get 14. I got 15 on it. It's up to 16 now. This is going to get ugly for the Jets. That's the only way I see this game. The Jets, after that, brutal ending to the Las Vegas Raiders, where they actually battled for their first win of the season, lose it because a moron defensive coordinator calls a cover zero blitz on the final play of the game that gets him fired. Now you got to take the trip out to Seattle against an angry, pissed off Seahawks team that said it last week. They even said it out loud. We sort of took the Giants for granted. I mean, I don't think the Giants would have liked hearing that, but nevertheless, they basically admitted it. We're flat in that game. It won't be flat here. The Jets secondary is maybe the worst secondary in the NFL. Their defensive line at times can get something pressure-related going on opposing quarterback. The secondary can't cover anybody. This is going to be a long day against Lockett and DK Metcalf and those Seahawks receivers. I like Seattle. I've got Seattle first quarter, first half, full game. I split 3 bets of equal size up between those 3. I think Seattle comes out strong and then just takes the Jets to the woodshed here. And runs away and hides. And the Seattle defense is getting better each week. Let's not forget that. And Carlos Dunlap has given them a pass rush finally, and I think they can shut down the Jets pretty good here. And one of my favorite player props in a very long time. Usually I keep the player props to smaller bets, but I've got pretty sizable one, same amount as I'd put on a game, for instance, with this one. Russell Wilson over passing yards. I think he's in an angry mood. He's going to have the ball in his hands. I know Pete Carroll's hinted wanting to run a lot, but I think he's going to unleash the hounds here. Let Russell throw it, and he's got the secondary to absolutely obliterate and pick apart. So Russell Wilson over passing yards, one of my favorite player props in a game in a very long time. I think he's going to shred the Jets secondary here. Skee, what's your thoughts here, Jets and Seahawks?
I'll start off by saying this is probably my least favorite game of the day. So I'm not backing this with any money, but if I have to say on this game, I don't trust either defense really. I know the Seahawks defense has looked a little bit better, but I think you can pass on both of these defenses. The problem is, like you said, why would Pete Carroll want to run the ball this week out of all weeks? You're facing the Jets secondary. So, I mean, if they run the ball, you probably look towards less points, but I see these 2 teams. I see 2 bad pass defenses. I saw the Jets put up a lot of points last week. I think they can replicate that, or maybe not as many points, but I think they can help out and get over 47.
All right, leaning toward the over. Just a question of how much do the Jets get, in my opinion. That's the question. Seattle's defense actually was great last week, even though they lost. Colt McCoy did nothing. It was just their offense just got really, it's shockingly trampled and dominated by the Giants defense, but give the Giants credit for that. Connor, what's your thoughts here, Jets and Seahawks?
Yeah, Colt McCoy didn't do it, but they ran it well.
Yep.
I don't know how. I think they had almost 200 yards on the ground, the Giants.
Yep.
Yeah, but Colt McCoy, he just had to do what he had to do. Don't F it up, as a backup. But I got to take the Jets here. I'm going to be the contrarian. Give me all those points. This is the NFL. I know Russell Wilson he's pissed off. I mean, they could win by 25, but I can't. It's almost at 17. It's just
a lot.
It starts making me salivate. It's so many points. So give me all those points with the Jets, and I don't have a feel for the total. I maybe lean a little under, but I don't love it, so I'm pass that way. But I'm on the Jets.
Green Bay, Detroit. Green Bay 8 on the road here in Detroit, Ford Field. Total 55.5, 56. Here we go. Overpalooza alert. This is another one of my overs here. And this was a pretty easy decision to make, even with the really high total here. Detroit's defense, no pass rush. The secondary, Desmond Trufant's in and out with injuries all year. Jeff Okudah, are we ever going to see that guy? They drafted him 3rd overall, and he just can't get on the field. The secondary is pitiful. And now Green Bay's got all the receivers, Adams, Lazard, Valdez-Scantling, Tanyan, the tight end. They're all healthy. They're going to absolutely obliterate, I think, Detroit's defense. However, since Pat Patricia got fired, the first game with Darrell Bevell, offensive coordinator, interim head coach, he basically, I couldn't believe it. Like, Matt Stafford's throwing the ball everywhere. He's letting them chuck the ball downfield, take deep shots, way more than he did earlier in the season when Matt Patricia was still lurking and skulking around on the sidelines. So you got to think maybe with him gone, Darrell Bevell's been given the green light, or he's going to give himself the green light to say, I'm going to let Matt Stafford throw the football around. And he managed to have a lot of success doing it, even without Kenny Golladay last week. And Galladay's out again this week, but he got some Quintez Cephas out of Wisconsin stepped up. Mohamed Sanu, where did he come from? He had a nice game last week of the Amendola, Marvin Jones still in that receiving core. they can do some damage here. So I like this game over the total. I remember having Green Bay Detroit guys over the total earlier this season when they played at Lambeau, and that game got well into the 60s. I mean, it got way up and over the total. I think more of the same here. What do you think, Skee? Lions and Packers?
I tend to agree with you. It's not one I have a super strong opinion on, but I can see the Packers definitely putting up points. They've scored, I think the magic number has been 30. They've scored like 30 every single week. Or it seems like to me. I might be wrong, and the Lions defense, it feels like they're giving up close to 30 every week. So I can see a lot of points in this game. Like you said, when teams fire their coach, they kind of play a little bit better to show it's not them, it was the coach. And we'll see if he's letting them throw the ball like that. Maybe the Lions can chip in and help this thing get over. I'll say as far as the points, it's a division game, and I don't want to lay that many points with the team that I don't think is that good on defense. So I'll lean towards the Lions and the over.
Yeah, I forgot to mention, I do have a tiny bet, small bet on Detroit, plus the points as well. Look, everybody, if you've read the quotes of Stafford and Amendola and some of these veteran guys, the great energy of Darrell Bevell. This guy really got us going. He fired us up. That's not the kind of shit you heard anybody on the Lions say when Matt Patricia was there. And now all of a sudden, Darrell Bevell's there. They got a little pep in their step. And, you got to come to play if you're Green Bay, because I was impressed with the effort from Detroit. They didn't play great. Hey, they should have lost, to be honest with you, but they didn't quit, found a way to win. And maybe they lose that game with Patricia, but they kept playing, found a way last week in the debut of Darrell Bevell as the interim coach. Connor, what do you think here, Detroit, Green Bay?
Yeah, I'd be right with you guys. I haven't bet this. I don't know if I will. It's a later game. I got it with Detroit, that many points. I took Green Bay last week, and man, all of a sudden, the Eagles score on a 4th and 16 and then run one back. And all of a sudden I'm sweating it's like they're only up by like a touchdown and they ran one in late. It's a lot of points. And then there's no way with Green Bay's defense on the road. I'd be with Detroit here. If it gets a little higher, if it could hit a 10, I don't think it does, and I lean maybe the over. It's getting to a lot of points there. But like Ian said, they can score. Both these teams, not very good defenses, and it could be lit up quickly. So Detroit in the over.
All right, Atlanta, LA Chargers. Here we go. Someone's got to win this game. We've got the LA Chargers 1.5 point favorites, 49 the total in this one. I can't pick a side. I'm not picking a side. I don't want either of these teams. They're bet against teams, both of them for me right now. So it's not a play on the side. A small bet for me over the total. The Julio Jones injury for Atlanta kind of taken some of the love I had for the over initially, but I still bet it for small, just not as much without Jones because it's a big loss in the receiving core. But, Russell Gage, Calvin Ridley, asked some other guys to step up. And again, when it comes to Matt Ryan, when he's under pressure, he doesn't play well. No one other than Joey Bosa these days is getting any sort of pressure for the Chargers defense right now. So Ryan should have an ability to throw. I think Herbert, after a really rough game against the Patriots last week, the game just got away from the Chargers last week. Herbert, I think, has a bounce back in him against a suspect defense. So still like it enough to bet it over the total. Skee, what do you think? Falcons, Chargers.
This is part of my overpalooza, and I'll say this: I've been doing pretty well lately in the NFL. I think I've won 8-2 or 9-2, but the 2 losses have been back-to-back Chargers overs. And I guess I'm going to die on that hill today if it doesn't go over. But Chargers defense, I think they give it up versus anybody, even without Julio. I trust any team to score. You saw the Patriots score 45 points on them. Any team will score on the Chargers. It's a matter.
And they can't throw. They couldn't throw us at all. What did Cam Newton have? Like 50 yards in that game?
Yeah, they still couldn't stop the run. Yeah.
So however the team's going to do it, they're going to score points. It's a matter of if the Chargers can score the points with them. And after that donut last week, I definitely think you see a Herbert bounce back. Falcons defense has been playing a lot better, but I can't see the Chargers being held down by that defense. So I think the total is a little undervalued. I think we have value on the over in this one. So I'm on the over 48.5, and I wouldn't put a cent on the Chargers to win a game. They're now a favorite. I wouldn't put a dime. I would rather give that money to somebody in need. So that's what I think about the Chargers side.
That tells you all you need to know about that right there. Connor, what do you think here? Chargers, Falcons.
I'm with you guys. I think if this was 3 weeks ago, this total's like 54.5, 55. So like Skee was saying, I think there's a little on getting the over here at this number, 49. My big thing is Herbert. I think he bounces back. I just need, we talked about earlier, the Falcons to get in the end zone. They get in the end zone, this thing goes over easy. They just kick too many field goals. So it's got me a little scared, but I'm on the over as well with you guys. And the side, like Skee said, there's no way I bet the Chargers. I take the Falcons money line or the 1.5 way before I take the Chargers right now. So I'm passing there. So just the over.
All right, Saint.
The only reason I don't bet the other side is just that would be so much pain for me. You guys know I'm a Charger fan.
True.
Exactly. If you bet the Falcons and the Chargers win, yeah, exactly. It's like when I bet against the Ticats, my CFL team, and the other team wins. It just drives me absolutely insane if that were to ever happen. I understand exactly what you mean by that. Yeah, New Orleans, Philly. New Orleans 7.5 to 8, 42. You know what? The number's gotten away. I mean, I have 6.5 with New Orleans, and I really like that side. But 7.5, 8 now, it's getting a little pricey. Maybe you put it in a teaser. I'm not buying this nonsense about the Eagles got a spark from Jalen Hurts last week. There's no way I buy that because he put the ball up for grabs, and his receiver just happened to come down and get it on a 4th down play, and then they had a punt return touchdown, which he had nothing to do with. That's what got them back against Green Bay. And then, of course, they pissed it away and give up the run to Aaron Jones, and it was all over again. They lost the game twice, it felt like, the Eagles in that game. The one concern, we talked about it with Kansas City earlier, big game with New Orleans next week. Same with the Saints here. Big game with the Chiefs next week. This is a little bit of a flat spot for them. But I'm done believing in Philly. The offense is dead. The offensive line's terrible. There's no skill position talent that I could ever bring on my football team right now. Defense is getting worn down. And you're going to trust Hurts, a banged-up, bad O-line with very little skill position talent that I like, against the best defense, one of, in the NFL right now, the way the Saints are going. Have they given up more than 20 points in any game, the Saints, the last 5 games or so? I don't think they have. They have been unbelievable. So I don't want the Eagles. You know where I'm headed. It's Saints or pass for me. What do you think, Skee? Am I nuts?
I hear you. I trust the Saints defense a hell of a lot. And I'm not running to the window on the road over a touchdown. I mean, I do like I'll lay with teams a touchdown that have a good defense, but just not in this game. I don't think Hurts is that good, but you're going to hear Skee's conspiracy theory. I don't think people like Carson Wentz on that team. Like, at least Jalen Hurts wasn't even throwing the ball well, but they're catching it. Carson Wentz throws it. They don't even catch it. They don't even try, I don't feel like. So maybe they play a little harder. That's all I can say for the Eagles. But I will say their pass defense has been solid. If anything, I would trust their this game to go under.
Yeah, I agree. This is one game where I'm going to rely on our good friend, Eagles fan Donnie Seymour, who's telling me all year long, this ain't a Carson Wentz issue. This is an O-line issue. This is a skill position group issue. This is a coaching and play calling issue. Well, we're going to find that out today. I'm going to buy into that theory because if he's right, then Hurts is not going to be one bit better than Carson Wentz today. We'll have to wait and see. If
the Eagles win, he will be hearing from me.
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely. Yeah. If they win today and Hurts looks great, Donnie, you're supposed to know. You said this was a friggin' team issue, not a Carson issue. And if they look great today, the Eagles, for instance, is the heat going to get turned up more on Carson Wentz for sure because of how things have gone with him at quarterback. Connor, what do you think here? Fascinating one, Saints-Eagles.
Yeah, initially I kind of thought like, man, I'm going to take these 8 points with the Eagles. And I just thought about it. And I just, no way. With the big matchup next week with the Saints, I think they get in and get out. They could cover this, but I like the under a lot better. The Eagles can't score. And the more I thought about it, I just put it in. I'm on the under here with the Eagles. The Saints defense has been dominant. I don't think Jalen Hurts does a whole lot. Like Skee said, I think they're maybe a little pumped for it, but against this defense, I don't know. Even at the number it's at, it's all the way down to 42.5. I'm on the under. I think the Saints have 5 or 6 straight unders. So I'm rolling with it again with a bad offense in Philly. And Philly's defense isn't really, but they're bad, but not horrid bad. What are they? Probably 20th in the league. They got a decent front 7. I'd say that. So I'm on the under.
All right, on the under. All right. Guys, if you have a best bet, Connor, Skee, for the early games, if you want to make your best bet an early game, now's your chance. Connor, do you want to select an early game for best bet?
Give it to Skee. I'm still thinking.
Okay.
Nah, I'm good on the early slate. I will get one on the afternoon.
All right, so then we'll save it for later. And Connor?
Yeah, I'll give it on the afternoon.
The late slate? Okay, yeah, mine's a late game as well, the best bet, and I had already determined that before the show. So it'll be, so we got 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific, 3 best bets coming up toward the end of the show. All right, Washington, San Francisco, San Fran -3, 43.5 the total. Boy, I want to take Washington, but I don't love the spot. This is just NFL 101, where the spots just, they beat Pittsburgh. They hand the Steelers their first loss on a short week now. They're going out west to play San Fran. I know the 49ers look bad against the Bills, but their defense against, again, mobile quarterbacks, explosive passing games, that's where the San Fran defense struggles. This is a manageable matchup for them. It's just such a dubious spot for Washington that I talked myself out of taking Washington here in this one. I don't really think I cannot lay points with San Fran with Nick Mullins at quarterback. I'm sorry, I can't. He was terrible last week. He's getting worse, I think, with each week. The win against the Rams had nothing to do with Nick Mullins. They just forced Jared Goff into a bunch of mistakes and, hung on for a low-scoring win. Nick Mullins is not impressing me. Not a quarterback I want to lay points with, but I kind of talked myself out of Washington. So this is one of the rare games today where I can say I don't have a bet, side or total. What do you think, Skee, with Washington, San Francisco?
Yeah, the only way I could look towards is San Francisco. I think their defense is pretty solid, and they can force Washington into turnovers and win the game the same way. It's only -3. I don't think Washington is that great of a team. I know they've played good lately, but I would trust the Niners. I trust the Niners offense and defense more. So I would take the Niners, or I think there's less points in this game. If anything, I think I trust both pass defenses for sure. So Niners and under is my lean.
All right. Niners and under lean for Skee. Connor, what do you think here? The football team, Washington, San Francisco.
Yeah, the football team. I liked them the other day, and the under was the Steelers. Just this spot doesn't feel right either way. And like you said, I don't want Mullins. I don't want to lay 3 with him. This was a pass all around, and I like the under, but at 43.5, I'm passing all the way around on this game.
All right, passing all the way around. We're down to the primetime game, Sunday Night Football. This is a really good one. Pittsburgh and Buffalo, 2 of the top 3 teams record-wise in the AFC right now in this game. Buffalo 2.5-point home favorites, 48.5 the total. Great game. I can't wait to watch it. And great game to handicap because you can make good cases for either team. You could say the point spread value is with Pittsburgh right now because, they're all of a sudden now an underdog. They're still an 11-1 team. People souring on them a bit. They barely beat Baltimore, who was mangled with COVID-19 and injuries. And then they finally lose to Washington last week. You've got defensive injuries for the Steelers. That's my concern for them going into this game. Yeah. Their linebacking core is decimated. Devin Bush was already out. Bud Dupree was already out of this linebacking core. Now you lose Vince Williams. He's on the COVID list. And Robert Spillane as well, who's really had made a couple of nice plays this season on that defense from the linebacking core. He's out. So this is they're down to like their 4th or 5th string linebackers, the Steelers coming into this game. That's significant. They can't run the football. That's a problem right now. There's a bunch of issues right now with the Steelers. And when you look at it from a Bills standpoint, not a great spot for them. They're coming off the Monday nighter against San Francisco back home, short week. I think in terms of current form in the spot, I lean Bills, but it's just a lean. I do think there's been an adjustment here in this number to the point where it's kind of surprising the Bills are favored a little bit now. But I've got enough concerns about the Steelers where I'd still lean a little bit to Buffalo here in this game. 3rd game in 11 days for Pittsburgh. That too is just, football is a physical sport. You've got to be able to be fresh, be able to, give it 100% and being physically in good shape to do that is a big part of it. And when you're playing 3 games in 11 days like Pittsburgh is here, that is definitely a concern. And I'm just seeing Kirk Cousins run for 20 yards, and that's not good for Tampa Bay there. But it's just, you're giving up 20-yard runs to Kirk Cousins. That's not good. But nevertheless, Buffalo, I lean to the Bills here in this one a little bit. And another over-palooza, yes. I don't feel as strong about this one. I do think Ben can throw on the Bills secondary. He can't throw on Trey White, but they've got a depth of receivers. Now, can they hang on to the ball is the question. Drops have been an issue. Tomlin's had enough. He said, I'm going to find receivers that can catch the damn ball if these guys aren't going to. So I think they'll shore that up. I think you'll see them be a lot more sure-handed after the coach kind of ripped them for all the drop passes. So I lean over. I do have a small bet over the total with a lean to Buffalo, but I'm going to pass on actually betting the side in this game. Skee, what do you think about this one? Great Sunday nighter with Pittsburgh and Buffalo.
Yeah, another game that I bet, and I know those are your boys. I know you're from Canada, Ian, but I'm on the other side. I like the Steelers on the money line. I got plus 125 for my bet. The thing I understand one, that's the schedule inconvenience, all the games that they played in a short time frame. And 2, I understand that they have the injuries on defense. But let's not forget that this was just an undefeated team. Now they're an underdog. I think they're going to be as focused as ever since they just lost the game. And the Bills, I'm not sold on them. I don't think their defense is good. They've looked better lately since they've had their bye week. Maybe they got a little healthier. But who did they play? They played the Chargers, who haven't been able to do anything. And they played – you just said you don't trust Nate Mullins. He threw for 300-plus yards on them. So the Steelers are going to have their way offensively. I think they're focused. I think there's definitely the key word value on this game as an 11-1 team plus money. I like the Steelers in this game. Give me the money line.
Bills have had mixed results against good teams, the best teams this year. They beat the Rams. They beat the Seahawks. Both of those were at home. But they also lost to the Chiefs and the Titans as well this year. So they've beaten some good teams. They've lost to some good teams. We'll have to wait and see if they can measure up here against Pittsburgh. But it's just Pittsburgh, the 3 games in 11 days. If they're going to be gutting it out tonight for sure if they win this game. But it's a good one for sure. Connor, what do you think? Buffalo, Pittsburgh.
Yeah, the 3 games in 11 days is killer. The running game, they haven't been able to run it. But now that this thing is flipped to the Bills -2, some places 2.5. I'm with Skee. It's Pittsburgh or nothing. I'm not gonna go with Buffalo. I know they'll be pumped up, but no crowd there. I don't know. And I lean a little bit on the under, but I think it's spot on right there, 49. But the playing the games then that many days, I think they're a bit tired. Like you said, they're banged up. The defense is banged up. When you can't run it, Connor's out. I don't know. I'd go with Pittsburgh. That's just it. In the total, I have nothing on. I'd go with Big Ben. I think he can throw it around. And Josh Allen's looked good. But like Skee said, I'm not ready to anoint him. I think he's doing good. I think, he played a really good game the other night. And Ian already brought it up, which I was going to bring up. They beat the Rams. They've beaten a couple of good teams, but they've gotten whipped by a few of the better teams too. They take care of business against the bad teams. So now that the line is switched, if Pittsburgh, if they win last week, I bet you they come in here -3, I'd say, or what it was. But now that's the other way. I'm with Pittsburgh. Take the 2.5, or take it money line, which I'm gonna do Pittsburgh money line.
All right, we'll wrap it up with Monday night. Another good one on Monday Night Football as well. Baltimore and Cleveland. We've got the Ravens slight road favorites here in this one. About 3, actually up to 3 now on the road here. 46 the total in this game. This is one of those spots where, for me, when it comes to this Ravens-Cleveland game, with the Ravens now finally working their way back to playing regularly, battling out of the COVID issues. They're starting to get healthier. They got Lamar Jackson back against Dallas. They might have Mark Andrews, their tight end, who's been excellent. It was counted upon source of for Lamar Jackson in the passing game. He might be back for this game. I think Baltimore could be undervalued a little bit. We know these games are significant for Baltimore as they're trying to maintain a spot here on the wild card chase. So these are big, important games that they need to take care of business against. They whipped Cleveland earlier this season. I'm sure Cleveland's going to remember that, and I know Cleveland is definitely going to be chomping at the bit to play Baltimore again. But Baker Mayfield just came off the perfect game. I don't think I've ever seen him play as good, and I don't know if I trust him to come anywhere close to playing as good, because he's rarely in his career had those games where he's been awesome one game and just as good the next. And unlike the Tennessee game last week where they could run the football, it's not going to be as easy against Baltimore, which can do a pretty good job against Chubb and Kareem Hunt in terms of containing the run game. So I think it's going to be a little bit more difficult for Cleveland here. And I think Baltimore, with the struggles, they had the losing skid, COVID, and they were devalued, and they beat up on Dallas. They might be a little undervalued now. As long as it doesn't go up further beyond -3, I would lean to Baltimore here, laying the field goal on the road. And, Cleveland, let's not forget, the Tennessee win was nice, but 9-3 with a very, very soft schedule. A lot of their wins were against bottom feeders, other than beating really Indy and Tennessee are their hallmark wins. And I can, say there's flaws on both of those teams. So I lean a little to the Ravens here at -3. What do you think about this one, Skee, with Ravens-Browns on Monday Night Football?
Yeah, you made a couple of good points that I'll just touch on again. But the Browns, they're not going up against a Tennessee defense. We talked earlier about how bad Tennessee's defense and how banged up they are. They're not going to get that this week. The Raiders' defense is definitely trustworthy, and I think the Browns have it tough. That when they play better teams, when they played Baltimore earlier this year, they didn't even score a touchdown. They scored 6 points. They played Pittsburgh? They only scored 7. I think the Browns' offense comes to a halt on this game. And you talked about some of the guys that the Ravens are getting back. I think the Ravens are first. I mean, it's not a question. They're undervalued. This is their playoff lives on the line. They can't afford to lose any more games. So they're getting healthier. Lamar versus what I think is not a good team. I trust them. Versus Cleveland, I think they're 8. Oh, no, not versus Cleveland. On the road, they're 8-2-1 against the spread. Ravens versus a bad team. Ravens for their playoff life. I got in -120 on the money line, but I like it at -3 still.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great money line price, and that's sometimes the advantage of betting a game early that you think might move in the direction you don't want it to. So a good job to bet that one as early as you did, Skee, with the Ravens. Connor, what do you think here with Baltimore-Cleveland?
Yeah, I got nothing right now in this game. I don't want Baltimore laying 3 because I haven't been big on the Browns all year, and Baker Mayfield, had that career game that you talked about. I don't see it again. I don't think they're as good as the record, but I haven't really liked what I've seen in Baltimore in their defense. I mean, the Cowboys move the ball real well. I think Cleveland can do it. I just don't like the spot's weird. If I had to take it right now, I'd go with the Browns getting the 3 at home, but I don't love it. It just feels like a weird spot. Like Skee was saying, the Ravens need to win this game. They got to have it. All that stuff. I don't know if I'm going to get to the window with this one. I kind of lean with the over, but I don't love that either. I think this game could be a pound it out, run it, and could stay under. So I'm still waiting. Maybe tomorrow I'll have more information on a play.
That's all right. That's why it's Monday Night Football. You're right. And usually Monday Night Football, when I make my final decisions, it'll be the day of Monday Night Football. But I'll tell you right now, for everyone watching, it's Baltimore or pass. I will not be on Cleveland tomorrow.
I'll say one more thing really quick. You just remember, don't forget, a lot of those Browns wins are aided by weather. So
aided by weather and aided by shitty competition as well. A lot of those wins. So we'll have to see. And they didn't just lose; they got dismantled by the Baltimore Ravens in Week 1. And they're going to have to show that they've come a long way since then here in the rematch if they're going to beat the Ravens this time around. All right, that is every game on the NFL card this week, and we'll wrap it up with best bets to wrap up the show. Skee, 4 p.m. Eastern, best bet. What are you looking for?
I'll go. I mean, it's no secret. I don't like the Raiders. I don't think they're a good team. The Colts, they're not in the lead for their division. I think they're a much better team than the Raiders. I don't think 2.5 or 3 is too much to ask. I think the Colts get it done here as my best bet.
All right, Colts -2.5 over the Raiders. Best bet for Skee. Connor, where are you going for best bet?
You go ahead.
I'm going to go with Green Bay, Detroit over 55.5. It's still below the key number of 56, which I like. Got into the 60s, well into the 60s when the Packers and Lions played. I think it was way back in Week 2 when they played. I think we get more of the same. Ford Field in Detroit, indoors. no problem in terms of weather. And we'll see both offenses light it up here. Packers, Lions over 55.5 for my best bet. Connor, back to you now. Decision time. It's got to be
go total. Yeah. I like the New Orleans Eagles. I'm liking that more and more. The under. I'm going to go Colts Raiders, the same game. I'm going to go with the over there. I think it goes over.
All right.
That's my best bet.
Colts Raiders over, and the best number with that I think is 51.5. Yes, it is 51.5 with Indian in Las Vegas. That's Connor's best bet. All right, that will wrap up this edition of the NFL Closing Time Show for Sunday, December 13th. Thanks to everyone for tuning in the chat. Always fun.
Oh, wait. Let me hit the ads real quick. Bull Spreads. If you haven't downloaded the app, download it. Hit Pub Sports Radio Battle Royale. You get $2K to bet with all the NFL games. Choose one game, choose them all. At the end of the week, whoever the winner is, you get a bunch of merch from Pub Sports Radio. And if you need a book, go to mybookie.ag, promo code PubSports. You get 50% off debit and credit, and they'll match you at that 100% if you use Bitcoin. So do it. They'll match all the way up to $100. So on all the way up to 1,000, at least 100, up to 1,000 in Bitcoin. Use it. Go to mybookie.ag, promo code PubSports. Get it.
There we go. I love the promo here.
Promo man.
Sponsors that support the show. College football show. Connor and I. Not college football. College basketball show. Tuesday, 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific. Our premiere edition. Make sure you join us for that. And we'll be back with you next Sunday, noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. The three of us for the NFL Closing Time. For Skee and Connor, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Sunday. Enjoy the games and good luck. We'll see you next Sunday right here on the NFL Closing Time Show on Pub Sports.